You are watching the Southwestern American Choral Directors Association Connections podcast. Please like this video and subscribe to this YouTube channel for future content.
All right, it looks like we are started. Hello, everyone. I am joined today by Dr. Rollo Dilworth, and he is our 10 and 11 mixed honor choir conductor for the Southwestern region of ACDA in Albuquerque. So, Dr. Dilworth, thank you so much for joining me today.
Thank you so much for having me.
Of course, of course. Well, you're very well known in the choral community, but maybe for those who are not familiar, could you tell us just a little bit about your musical upbringing and how you came to be involved in choral music?
Sure. So I was born in St. Louis, Missouri, and I was a little choir kid from the time I was about 7 years old, singing in school choir, singing in church choir, and really just developing a love for choral music and for playing piano. And my music teacher at the elementary level identified me as someone who showed promise for further development and advancement in music. And I wanted to become a music educator, just like my first choral director. And went to undergrad and graduate school, and 30 some odd years later, I'm still doing this work and just really excited by the opportunity to work with choral singers of all different backgrounds and ages in order to do what I think is the greatest thing in the world, and that is to participate in the choral art.
Absolutely. Well, pause there for a moment and talk to us a little bit about your schooling and who some of your major mentors and influences were in this world. What are some important lessons you maybe learned from them?
Sure. So I would say one of my greatest influences was Robert Ray, who wrote the Gospel Mass. He was my teacher for my master's degree program. And Robert Harris, who's a very well-known composer and conductor at Northwestern University, was my professor for my doctoral degree. So those two folks for sure had a great influence on me. Robert Ray really taught me how to be myself as a composer and told me that the essence of who I am needs to come through in the music that I compose and arrange. And I'll never forget my first lesson with him when he made that very clear. One of my first lessons with him when he made that very clear. And I've tried to stay in that path. I've also, as an educator, I've always wanted to be able to write music, arrange music that would specifically connect to the lived experiences of various age groups. So when I write for middle school choirs or when I conduct and teach middle school choirs, I'm thinking pedagogically as a teacher, and that may be very different than the way I would approach working with or writing for an adult course or a professional course. And so just trying to be very cognizant of the lived experiences of the people that I'm trying to serve through my writing and through my teaching have always been important to me. And my work with Robert Ray and Robert Harris have certainly had a strong influence on my career.
Excellent. Well, you kind of read my mind there. My next question was kind of how you bridge that gap between the composer arranger side of you and the conductor side of you. So if there's anything to add there, that's great. But yeah, it looks like you touched on that for a moment.
Oh, okay, sure. I can certainly add just a little bit more by saying that I really believe that one feeds the other. I think the more I teach, the more I learn about what's important for me as a composer and an arranger. And the more I compose and arrange, the more I learn about what's important pedagogically. So they really do feed each other, and I sort of enjoy having those two areas of my career work together in that kind of way.
That's great. Thank you. So how have you been in the business for a little while now? So how have you seen choral singing evolve over the years? I know that's a large sweeping question, but from your perspective, how do you see that choral singing has evolved?
Yeah, that's a great question. I think it's evolved in many ways. I think that the choral world has changed quite a bit since the beginning of my career, and certainly since the time I was growing up as a chorister. I think that as a young chorister, I had to make sure that I was in uniform, that I was standing perfectly still, at attention, and I certainly was not allowed to give my own input as much as students feel like they need to do so now. Choral teaching, like all teaching we've discovered, is should be a much more collaborative process between teacher and student. I think also we, in the earlier days, I don't know if we were so much focused on students bringing their individual selves and expressing themselves as individuals in what we've always known to be more of a collective experience. Again, where we always strive for uniformity and everybody being exactly the same. But nowadays, I think we are much more open to that. Some choirs are much more into movement now, or allowing students to be more free with movement. Some choral programs are much more interested in the individual voice rather than the collective sound. And so those things are really exciting. What I've experienced as a composer, arranger, has been really dramatic. I think there are a lot more of us composer, arranger types who are paying closer attention to ensuring that we write music that reflects the experiences and the thoughts and the desires of our choristers. So much more music is being written about self-empowerment and um, uh, doing good in the world and community and using your music for good and using music as a force to build community and to find common ground. And certainly there were pieces like that back in the day. But when I say back in the day, I guess I'm talking about the 70s and 80s when I grew up. But now there are so many more pieces of music that celebrate the self and celebrate joy and celebrate the positive aspects of singing itself. And I find that to be really exciting. One of the other things that I have found so fascinating from my work as a composer and arranger is that many composers and arrangers now are elevating the voices of poets, for example, that we may not have heard about or that we didn't hear about as much. And I've certainly been a part of that movement in many ways. And many of the pieces I have written most recently have reflected the voices of African American poets. And certainly that's some of the work that I'm very passionate about. And that work greatly influences the repertoire choices that I make currently, particularly some of the repertoire choices I've made for the Southwestern ACDA honor choir that I'm conducting.
Absolutely, yeah, and hard agree on all of that. Since you mentioned the repertoire that you'll be sharing with the singers, maybe I could bring up a quick list of all of the repertoire. This is for all of the honor choirs. But then you, right here in the blue, the second grouping, 10 through 11 grade mixed honor choir. Maybe you could talk to us a little bit about your repertoire selections here and what you're excited about and what students have to look forward to here with this repertoire.
Certainly. So I love to program around a theme, and so I actually have a theme for the 10th, 11th grade mixed honor choir program, and that theme is A Wonderful World. I wanted to select music that celebrates our world in very positive ways for its potential and for its promise, and perhaps challenge the students to think more critically as they study and perform this music, how they can play a role in making their world an exciting place, a better place, maybe better communities. The first piece, an Earth Song, is by Dr. Marcus Garrett, who's down at the University of North Texas. Wanted to be sure to program something that includes composers within the conference geography. And so Earth Song is actually based on the words of Langston Hughes. And next year, 2026, is the 125th anniversary of the birth of Langston Hughes. And this poem simply celebrates the beauty and the joy of the earth, and singing a song that sort of helps us to resonate with the beauty, celebrate and resonate with the beauty of the earth. Achieve It Is the Glorious Work is from Haydn's Creation, which of course is a major, major work that celebrates the creation of the earth. And I wanted to make sure I had something from the classical period. How to Sing Like a Planet is a contemporary piece by composer Elizabeth Alexander, and it is absolutely fascinating. It's sort of a reflection on sort of more the scientific um, uh, elements that make the earth do what it does. And I hope the students are going to really love that. It's a bit whimsical, but also serious. Canto de Libertad, a Song of Freedom, is written by two composers from Puerto Rico, Suzette Ortiz and Diana Saez. And as many of us know, and some may sometimes forget, Puerto Rico is a United States territory. And they created this wonderful song in Spanish that celebrates not only their Puerto Rican heritage, but talks about a core element that all of us want to experience, no matter who we are, and that is freedom. Freedom. And so I thought that would be a great way to contribute in a sort of a more multicultural fashion to the program. And also knowing in the Southwest region, we have many, many Spanish speaking communities. So there was a lot of intentionality around choosing that piece. Hate Has No World by Brad Ellingbo. Brad Ellingbo is a New Mexico composer, and he wrote this piece just a few years back that really helps us to understand how we can care for one another and how we can all do our part to ensure that we are not spreading negativity but positivity in our communities. It involves body percussion, and it has some 7/8 mixed meter kind of stuff going on. So I think it'll be a great contrast to some of the other pieces in our program. And then finally, we're ending with a piece of mine entitled United in Purpose, the very powerful words of the late Maya Angelou, who said to us in one of her writings, the onus is upon us all to work to improve the human condition. When we unite in purpose, we are greater than the sum of our parts. So, again, this piece may serve as sort of a capstone to all the other pieces that are on the program that help us to understand our role in this world and our function and perhaps a greater purpose beyond just creating music together. But how do we do that in a way that empowers us to go and make positive contributions to our communities? So I hope that this themed program entitled A Wonderful World will educate the students in very profound ways, but also inspire them to move forward beyond the performance of this program to do great things with reminders from our wonderful poets and our wonderful composers that have contributed to the program.
Yeah, that's beautiful. Thank you for your insight on this, your programming and your process there. And part of the reason of this podcast for the few listeners that join us is to have the directors and students kind of get fired up about our honor choir conductors, getting to know them, also the repertoire. So that's beautiful. Now, what can the students expect from Dr. Dilworth and the first rehearsal when they come into this honor choir situation? What's your approach in that first rehearsal?
That's a very good question. Well, I hope to come into that first rehearsal firing on all cylinders in terms of my enthusiasm for not just the music, but my enthusiasm for serving them. And I hope that they will be excited and enthusiastic about the opportunity that they have, not so much to work with me. I guess that's okay. But to work with each other and to explore this musical experience as a collective, I always tend to remind them early on that this is the one and only opportunity that we will ever come together in this configuration to be this particular ensemble to do this work. And I encourage them to make the most of it. I encourage them to be better on that day than they were the day before, and to be better the next day than they are on that particular day. So I have very high expectations for them and their work, but I try to wrap those high expectations in enthusiasm, in inspiration, and in what I called experiential learning that keeps them curious and helps them to understand that they are primary stakeholders in their own learning and development, and that they can come in with their own agenda about how they want to improve and how they want to perhaps get better as artists, but also as human beings. And I try to reinforce those things along the way. I love to deliver creative warm-ups as a composer. I write my own warm-up activities. So they'll probably have some warm-up experiences that they've never experienced before that I hope they will take back to their respective schools and have fun with. Um, and it's all about having a very positive experience and a very positive attitude. And I hope to be a model for that so that the students can leave that experience feeling very, very excited and proud of the work that they've done.
Yeah, I love that. I love your answer. And so, with singers coming from different schools and regions around the Southwestern Division, how do you build cohesion and ensemble sound in a short amount of time, knowing that we all kind of have, for instance, a different idea of how a vowel should be shaped? Um,
Oh, yes.
yeah.
Oh,
So
that,
how do you approach that?
that's a very good question. I will do that in the first 10 minutes of my warm up. I have some tools in the tool belt that I hope will accomplish just that. And
There you go. There
I'll
you
leave
go.
the
Yeah,
mystery out there.
that's right. You have to leave it there. Yeah, you have to come and participate to
That's
to see
right.
what's going on. Yeah. So even if you're not a part of the honor choir, you can come and observe.
Yes.
That's wonderful. Okay. This is a special honor choir with just 10th and 11th graders in high school as singers. What do you hope that they take away from this experience back to their own schools and programs? You talked a little bit about that already, but what can you add there?
Yeah, I think that there's a real opportunity for 10th and 11th graders, and I'm so excited that the Southwest region decided to create an honor choir based on this population because 10th and 11th graders are not they're not 12th graders, so they're not seniors, and they're not ninth graders, they're not freshmen, right? And so these folks are literally in the middle of their high school careers. And I think there's so much opportunity there. Um, there's certain repertoire that you can do with 10th graders that you probably can't do with ninth graders because they're still developing vocally. There's a certain level of maturity to 10th and 11th grade voices, and yet there is an opportunity for them to go back to their schools and be leaders for the ninth graders, but also it gives them this experience with them being in the middle, gives them something to look forward to. There are going to be a couple pieces that are going to challenge them to help them to understand, okay, maybe here's where I may go next as a 12th grader or even as a college freshman in my repertoire development. So I see this as a really cool opportunity because I want to see how they can stretch in their artistic abilities to a level that helps them to aspire toward 12th grade and beyond. While at the same time, I want to reinforce and maybe acknowledge their potential for leadership as 10th and 11th graders for those ninth graders who will be moving up in the years to come.
Sorry, I couldn't get my audio button undone there. Yeah, that's beautiful and well said. Yeah, I think that's excellent answer. Yeah, and these 10th and 11th graders trying to challenge them, sort of from where they are, but also inspire them to be greater than where they are at the moment. So That's excellent. Finally, and in wrapping up here, how does participating in an honor choir benefit singers just beyond performance and outside of their school choirs in terms of personal growth, vocal development and musically, but also should they not pursue music as a career? And we hope that they, stay in music as life enrichment throughout their entire life. But how do you feel like this influences them beyond just the high school, the high
Yeah.
school years?
Yeah, that's a great question. Well, because these honor choirs are audition choirs, we tend to expect these students to be at the top of their choral programs wherever they happen to be, which is usually the case. And so for the students to come to these honor choir experiences, they may be the only leader or one of few leaders in their program at their school. But then they come to an honor choir experience, and now they're not just a leader among followers, so to speak, but they become a leader among other leaders. And I think that, the old adage that iron sharpens iron is so true because these young people come as leaders from their individual schools. They will go back to their schools empowered as leaders, but they also get what I call a pre-professional development experience that helps them to see other people from other schools with other backgrounds who are also in the same roles in their respective schools as leaders among students among students who look up to them, right? So I think that's a very unique opportunity. And to get a bunch of kids in the room who are all geeked out on choral music together is so exciting. I think it's better than just about anything because it helps the student to understand that A, they're not alone, and B, that choral singing can be a part of their world no matter where they find themselves in college or even beyond. So it certainly serves a the honor choir experience has certainly served to ignite, not just ignite the flame, but keep the flame going for a lot of young people because we need people of all backgrounds. And I can tell you myself with two community courses that I conduct here in Philadelphia, many of them who find their way into a community chorus do so because they were inspired by an honor choir experience when they were at the high school or even middle school level. So this is really exciting for me.
Yeah, that's excellent. Yeah, and I completely agree. Yeah, in terms of personal growth and taking them from where they are, and I call it the little fish, big pond situation once they get into
Yes,
these honor choirs. Yeah,
exactly. Uh-huh.
that's right. Well, finally, in closing, maybe you can tell folks that are listening where they can find you online.
Oh, that's a good question. Well, you can always email me at my workplace, rollo.dilworth at temple.edu. I work at Temple University here in Philadelphia, but I'm also on Facebook and Instagram. I'm not a huge Facebook or Instagram person, but if you were to message me or reach out to me, it may take a day or two, but I'll get back with you. And yeah, I hope that some students feel moved to reach out and say hello, and I'm happy to connect with you prior to us getting together in March down in New Mexico.
That's great. That's great. Well, thank you so much again for joining me today, and we're really excited to have you as our 10th and 11th grade mixed honor choir conductor. I'm excited to watch you work and peel away a little bit so that I can pop into a rehearsal and really excited for that performance as well with the repertoire that you described. So thanks again for joining me. And thanks everybody else. We will see you next time. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Wall. Thank you.
Absolutely.